After failing his regular high school exams, Kun is forced to attend Youkai Academy. He bumps into a vampire called Moka, who cannot resist sucking his blood. The two become acquainted with one another, and she is delighted to learn that he is also a freshman. Kun quickly learns what a mess he's gotten himself into. Youkai Academy is attended exclusively by monsters. Shizuka, his teacher, sets out 2 cardinal rules. Monsters are to always assume human forms, and any real humans discovered will be killed. One classmate, Saizo, is especially belligerent. Kun begins attracting attention for associating with the beautiful and popular Moka, which particularly irritates Saizo. Later, Kun learns that Moka's true form is concealed thanks to the rosary necklace she wears, and if it were removed, she would become a truly frightening monster. Moka is happy that Kun doesn't seem to mind her true self, but he increasingly feels like he does not belong at the school. He attempts to leave, but Moka tries to get him to stay, adding that, based on experience, human schools are the worst. Kun admits that he is a human and wishes not to be involved with monsters. He simply runs away, and Moka chases after him. Saizo, an orc, stops her. Kun tries to save Moka, but Saizo simply swats him away. Moka rushes to his side, and as she shares that all she wanted was a friend, Kun says he does not mind being friends with her. Moka is overjoyed, but she notices her rosary is gone. She unleashes her true power, that of an S-class vampire. Saizo trembles at the mere sight of her, and she knocks him out in one punch. Kun and Moka embrace, thus beginning a special bond between man and vampire. The next day, Kun realizes that the bus that brought him here only comes once a month, and he is effectively trapped. Kun continues to be the envy of his classmates because Moka is all over him. Occasionally, Moka will get hungry and drink some of his blood, which she treats as a delicacy. Later, Kun helps a big-chested girl in distress, whom he accompanies back to school. The girl introduces herself as Kurumu, and she uses her succubus charms to seduce Kun. Moka runs into them, and due to the spell, Kun tells her that she only keeps him around for his blood. Moka later confronts Kurumu, who has an important mission that involves seducing the entire student body. Moka, who has been immensely popular with boys from the start, is in the way of this mission. Kun arrives, wanting to apologize for earlier, but Kurumu charms him again, causing Moka even more heartache. While she sulks and wonders if she is only friends with Kun for his blood, her rosary warns her that Kun is only falling for her succubus charms, and if she doesn't save him soon, his life force will be sucked out. Meanwhile, Kurumu tries to complete her seduction of Kun, but his love for Moka triumphs. Irritated, she transforms into her succubus form and intends to take him by force, but Moka arrives just in time to push her out of the way. Their fight spills outside the school, where Kurumu explains that there are only a handful of succubi left, and since they have a strict selection process for their mate, they seduce several men at a time. Kun refuses to betray Moka, and he takes off her rosary, revealing her true vampiric form. She quickly overpowers Kurumu, and as she moves to kill her, Kun defends her and says she's had enough. The next day, Kurumu has decided on Kun as her mate for life, triggering a love triangle. Moka saves a witch named Yukari from being bullied by her class president Tadachi. Yukari later confesses that she has admired Moka for a long time and wants to be her girlfriend. However, Yukari is particularly hostile towards Kun, whom she believes is dreadfully average and no good for someone as amazing as Moka. This leads her to play out several pranks on him, causing him a lot of trouble. Kun grows tired of the pranks and lashes out, saying that Yukari should learn that her actions have consequences. But Yukari makes it clear she does not intend to make friends. Kurumu tries to calm Kun down, explaining that witches are considered half-humans, unable to fit in either the monster or human world. Kun realizes that out of everyone in school, he sympathizes with Yukari the most. Yukari is later abducted by her class president and his friends, who reveal themselves as lizard men. Having grown tired of her haughty and arrogant attitude, they decide to eat her. Moka, Kun, and Kurumu all arrive to save her, but it is Kun's selfless act of protection that truly moves Kurumu. Moka's rosary is removed, unleashing her vampiric form. The lizards are turned into mincemeat, and they reassure Yukari that from now on she is not alone. The next day, Yukari has developed a crush on Kun, turning the situation into a full-blown harem. Kun is confronted by the fan club coalition. They mistakenly believe that he is hoarding the 3 girls all to himself and begin beating him up, but Yukari rescues him. This experience leaves him frustrated at his own weakness, having to rely on girls to save him. The girls later discuss amongst themselves that the fan club trio have been increasingly harassing them lately. They remark that it would be best if they acted as Kun's bodyguards, adding to his troubles. Later, Yukari spots Kun leaving school grounds carrying a bag. She reports this to Moka, who fears that he intends to leave the school altogether. Kun arrives at the bus stop where the fan club coalition is lying in wait. They transform into their monster forms, expressing their resentment towards Kun for attracting the attention of such beautiful girls. They gang up on him, but he is rescued by Moka and the others. He mopes around that he has to be rescued again, but Moka slaps him and reassures him there is no shame in asking help from friends. Kun gains the courage to call the 3 fan club members losers, which provoking them into combining as one big monster. Kun accidentally removes Moka's rosary, releasing her vampire form. With Yukari and Kurumu's help, she effortlessly deals with the 3 nerds, who agree to set up a new fan club dedicated to vampires. The girls clamor for Kun to stay behind, but he has no plans of leaving at all. He just wanted to ask the bus driver to mail some letters for him. The girls are relieved, and Moka is somewhat embarrassed that she jumped to conclusions. The next day, Shizuka announces that the bus now comes daily, and they also have installed a payphone to the human world, which is great news for Kun. To prepare monsters for the human world, Shizuka tells the class it is mandatory to join a club. While scouting out prospective clubs to join, the swimming club, headed by the bodacious Tamao, catches Kun's eye. Moka is unable to swim due to being a vampire, but since he insists on joining, she decides to endure it. But when Kun starts getting flirty with Tamao, Moka is unable to bear it any longer and decides to leave. Her other self encourages her to abandon Kun, as he is no good at all. Despite this, Moka works up the resolve to return to the pool. Kun feels a little guilty for forcing Moka into an uncomfortable situation. Tamao tries to ease his worries, but he insists on finding Moka. Several men in the pool begin having their life force sucked out, revealing that the entire swim club is made up of mermaids who lure men to join so they can feed on them. Yukari and Kurumu attempt to fight back against the mermaids, but there are far too many of them. Just as Tamao prepares to feed on Kun, Moka arrives to save him. But as expected, she cannot endure the water and she begins to drown. Kurumu holds off Tamao, allowing Kun to rescue Moka, undoing her rosary in the process. Moka bursts out of the water, but Tamao is confident that she is too weak to fight back. Moka goads her into jumping into the sky, allowing her to kick Tamao into a net. Kun rushes to Moka's side, but she slaps him, saying coldly that the other Moka was crying her eyes out, and he doesn't understand the first thing about her. The next day, Kun properly apologizes to Moka for how he acted, and the two reconcile. Shizuka, overhearing their conversation, invites them to join the newspaper club instead, which Yukari and Kurumu also eagerly apply for. Kun and the others attend their first newspaper club meeting, where they meet its president, Jin. He presents the girls with flowers and seems to be an outgoing and friendly guy. Yukari suggests that for their next article they write a feature on the peeping Tom, who has been terrorizing the women recently. Jin develops a fondness for Moka, who he intends to make his woman. While setting up posters asking for citizen information, he frames Kun into looking up the skirts of Moka and Kurumu, who immediately slap him in retaliation. Moka's vampire self later warns her that Jin has a scent of danger. The next day, Jin plots to drive a wedge further between Moka and Kun. He brings Kun near a window and frames him as the infamous peeping Tom, taking photos as evidence. His reputation plummets almost instantly, turning even his friends against him. Yukari and Kurumu are doubtful that he could be the true culprit, and they conduct their own investigation. Meanwhile, Jin tries to dissuade Moka from seeing Kun, showing the photos he took earlier. She continues to have her doubts, but Yukari and Kurumu arrive and execute a flawless cross-examination, revealing Jin to be the true culprit. As he takes a step back, voyeur photos he took spill out from his pants. He decides to make Moka his woman by force, transforming it into his werewolf form. Kun throws himself in between them, but he accidentally removes Moka's rosary, and you know what comes next. Moka assumes her vampire form, initially struggling against Jin's blinding speeds. But when the mood is obscured by clouds, having Jin's strength, she manages to catch him and push him off the building. The next day, the newspaper club released an expose revealing Jin to be the real peeping Tom. After another successful print, the newspaper club decide to hold a party, except for Jin, who has already left to hit on girls. Kun is suddenly approached by a girl named Shirayuki, who appears to be a fan of his work. She suddenly shows up to class after being absent for nearly an entire month. Later, she shows Kun a scrapbook of all her favorite articles of his work, as she kept up to date with the newspaper. She later prevents him from attending the celebration party, insisting the two are meant to be together. Revealing herself to be a snow woman, she holds Kun captive in ice and sends an ice clone to kill Moka, whom she views as a nuisance. She prepares to encase Kun completely in ice, but Moka and Kurumu arrive to rescue him. Shirayuki throws a tantrum and escapes, but she is found by Kotsubo, another teacher, whom she nearly freezes to death. There are now talks of expelling her completely, but Kun takes responsibility for rejecting her harshly. He finds her by the cliffside and reassures her that Kotsubo will live, but she strangely turns hostile. Jin arrives with new evidence revealing that Kotsubo first attempted to molest Shirayuki, and he was merely frozen in self-defense. But the damage is done, and Shirayuki loses all trust in Kun and his friends. She summons a vicious snowstorm and several ice clones, but she almost falls off a cliff. Kun narrowly saves her from falling and invites her to be friends. Although she calms down, she loses control of her ice clones. Luckily, Moka arrives just in time, and Kun removes her rosary. The vampire Moka rescues them both and smashes the remaining ice clones. Moka is irritated that Shirayuki won't even offer a word of thanks and kicks her. Shirayuki returns the next day having cut her hair. They give Jin due credit for revealing the truth, but they beat him up after finding more voyeur photos inside his shirt. Ririko, the math teacher, turns heads for her immaculate beauty. With midterms fast approaching, Kun realizes he's in deep trouble. He has a study session with the rest of the newspaper club and is grateful for the notes that Moka provides him. However, when Ririko notices this, she insists that the task of tutoring students be left to him, pushing Moka out of the picture. She begins giving Kun private lessons. Although her sessions are effective, it costs Kun his personality, leaving him nothing more than an empty husk, repeating mathematical formulas. Moka tries to catch Kun to give him some handwritten notes, but Ririko pushes her out of the way, remarking that the real reason why Kun can't study is because of her. Moka is left feeling depressed, but when she hears Kun scream, she races to rescue him. She discovers that Ririko is a Lamia, attempting to brainwash Kun while teaching him. When Ririko attacks Moka, several of her handwritten notes spill out onto the ground. Kun's brainwashing is broken when he picks up one of the copies. He yanks the rosary from Moka's neck, causing her to assume her vampire form, and she easily defeats Ririko. The next day, Kun likely did terrible on the exams, but he thanks Moka for her easy-to-understand notes. The newspaper club head to the human world to hit the beach. Kun exclaims that he's finally home, which the other members find suspicious. While playing beach volleyball, they are impressed that Kun seems to have no problem with being in the human world, almost as if he's where he belongs. They later pay a visit to the nearby witch hill, populated by sunflowers. However, there are rumors that witches live on the hill, kidnapping trespassers. Kurumu pokes fun at Yukari regarding these rumors, and she is slightly offended at being treated like a kid. As they set camp for the night, Yukari continues to be treated like a child, with nobody trusting her with tasks of any kind. She is inexplicably drawn back to Witch Hill, where she meets Ruby, another witch. She explains that this hill is sacred to them, and they plan to fight back against humans who intend to demolish it. She invites Yukari to help their coven kill all the humans, but Yukari is hesitant. Kun arrives, having grown worried that she is missing. Ruby attacks him with monstrous plant life, ignoring Yukari's pleas for mercy. She takes it upon herself to rescue Kun, muttering the courage to use her magic to blast the plants apart. As the others arrive, Kurumu scolds Yukari for fighting by herself, but Shirayuki tells her to calm down. The members prepare to retreat to camp, thinking the battle is over, but Ruby attacks Kun, mortally wounding him. Moka flies into a rage, her inner self bursting forth, even without the necklace being removed. Kurumi and Shirayuki are similarly infuriated, and all three attack Ruby. Ruby awakens after being thoroughly beaten. She explains her grudge against humans for wrecking several parts of Witch Hill for the sake of development, so she wishes to kill every human. The girls call her hypocritical for being just as absolutist as humans. But if her issue is no longer having a place to stay, Kun invites her to go with them to Youkai Academy. Ruby is taken aback by this offer and considers it for a moment, but when she returns to Witch Hill, she is reminded of her obedience to her master, Lady Oyataka. When the club members discover Ruby is missing, they come running to find her. Upon arriving at Witch Hill, Ruby attacks them with hundreds of plant monsters. Against overwhelming odds, Kun does the one thing he can: remove Moka's rosary. Moka makes quick work of the plants, but Ruby is unbelievably powerful, simply forming them back again. Kun notices a house in the distance, and upon investigating it, he finds that Oyataka is already dead. He shares this new information with Ruby, but she refuses to believe it. Afraid and confused, Ruby breaks down and begins unleashing dangerous amounts of magic, intending to use a spell to kill them all. With Yukari's direction, they work together to break free of their constraints and successfully destroy Ruby's talisman, the key to her magic. The next morning, the newspaper club finds Jin carrying an unconscious Ruby who survived the explosion. Although previously conflicted over attending Youkai Academy, Kun has learned to enjoy the time he has spent with his friends at a club and decides to make the most of what time he has left. After they print out the latest edition of their paper, they're shocked to find that another paper called the Yokai Square is also in circulation. Kito, the president of the Super Newspaper Club, says that they were recently recognized as an official club. When Kurumu raises these concerns with Shizuka, she replies that her hands are tied and that there are plans to scrap the less popular club. Kurumu tries to win back popularity for their paper by dressing up as maids, but their competition simply dresses up in swimsuits. Jin understands that they are frustrated, but he warns them that this is a fight they cannot win. He explains that the Super Newspaper Club is controlled from the shadows by the Security Committee, which acts in a similar capacity to the secret police. They decide to write an article exposing their injustices, but Jin orders them to drop the subject and burn all copies of their paper. They reluctantly do as they're told, but Kurumu considers releasing the paper anyway, and she convinces Kun to do the same. However, Kito, along with her subordinates, yank the papers out of their hands. She reveals herself to be a Spider-Woman and a member of the security committee, whose leader Kuyo is adamant about crushing all opposition. The pair are helpless to stop her, and they are soon caught in a spider's web. Fortunately, Moka arrives, and Kun lifts her rosary seal. Moka begins to drag Kito by her own web, then traps her and her subordinates inside it. Afterwards, the newspaper club agree to release an article exposing the truth behind the security committee. They begin gathering photo evidence of the security committee's shady dealings. Fortunately, Shirayuki was able to coerce the fan club trio into testifying, but when they visit them in their courtroom, the security committee has already whisked them away. Without new witnesses, they can do nothing but twiddle their thumbs. However, during one class session, the security committee arrests Kun under suspicion of being a human, and he is whisked away in chains. The only members left free, Yukari and Jin, are forced into hiding. He is interrogated at length about his true identity, and they produce testimony from various eyewitnesses that say they have never seen him transform into his monster form at all, even to save his friends. What convinces Kuyo even more is that even his friends don't seem to know what kind of monster he is. Moka is placed under intense scrutiny, and her interrogator begins torturing her with water. Kuyo threatens that if Kun doesn't come clean soon, he might just dip Moka in the pool. Left with no choice, Kun confesses that he is human, but Kuyo reveals that his friends were behind him the whole time. Shirayuki and Kurumu look at him with disgust, and they are escorted away. However, because Moka knew about his identity the whole time, she is treated as a co-conspirator. Jin is shocked to learn the truth, and he follows Shirayuki's lead in laying low for now. Yukari, despite being prosecuted by humans for centuries, has more mixed feelings. Kun is marched into the school courtyard, where Kuyo announces his execution, while even Shizuka is prevented from intervening by her fellow teachers. Moka desperately tries to pry off her rosary, while Kun is propped up on a cross for everyone to see. Kun is horrified to learn that after he dies, Kuyo intends to round up his club members and execute them as well. Ruby, in her crow form, rallies the members of the newspaper club to save Kun and break Moka out of prison. Kurumu is still angry with Moka for not trusting her enough to tell the truth about Kun, but they put it behind them for now. First, they must save him. They conduct a daring rescue, and while Kurumu and Ruby carry him to safety, Kurumu and Yukari take care of Kuyo's subordinates. When Kuyo chases after Kun, Moka follows him. She reaches the school roof just in time and is relieved to see him safe and sound. However, their reunion is short-lived as Kuyo hurls a spear of flame at Kun's heart, mortally wounding him. As he draws his last breath, he asks Moka to take care of the club right before he releases her seal. Moka flies into a rage and attacks Kuyo, then immediately attempts to revive Kun. She plans to inject him with vampire blood to rapidly heal him. The others hold off the fox demon Kuyo, who proves to be a powerful foe. Only Yukari and Ruby's twin sealing array and crow summon manage to harm him, but this merely brings him to his final form, making him even more dangerous. Moka joins the fight, her attempts to revive Kun fruitless. Kuyo seemingly kills her with a flame wheel, but he is shocked to see that Kun has survived his injuries, thanks to Moka's blood infusion. With Jin's help, Moka performs a single kick that sends Kuyo crashing straight through the school building. Kun is given credit for defeating Kuyo, and since no ordinary human could possibly beat a fox demon, he is allowed to stay. He later visits Moka in the clinic, and when they try to kiss, the other girls arrive to break them up. His secret is safe for now, and his school life at Youkai Academy is just beginning.